Yeah, Elevation Barn is designed, as it says on the tin, it's to elevate people through a barn raising process. The way that I do it is we host retreats in America, in Ohio, as well as New York, in England, in South Africa, in Botswana, in California, as well as over in Australia and Bali. And there's not just me. I have guides that lead and elevate other people in their journeys. What we do is we help people take space back away from those walls of life to be able to then recalibrate and also use a very powerful process to define and clarify who you are. Because if you don't know who you are and what you're about, somebody else will give that to you. Somebody will define your destiny. And we don't really have process to help do that. We have plenty of retreats and workshops and things to escape life or to try and find what new life could be, but not many to actually look at who you are and celebrate it. In the branding world that I came from, we take emotion out of the game. We look at this product or service. Can it do this or can it not do this? And what can we program and develop it to do for the future? And we help craft that story. So people will fall in love with their iPhones because it's a reflection of them, or a car because drivers are wanted, or a sports shoe because we should just do it, right? In the branding world, we get paid a lot of money to help craft and find what we call the unfair advantage. Why are you truly unique? And how do you leverage the world to celebrate your uniqueness and live a joyous life? And so Elevation Barn came about because I could see it in the product service world crushing it. Every product and service has a strategy, but people don't. And I thought that was wrong. And the catalyst was actually when I invited 6 friends who were all in transition, trying to work out, what am I doing next? We were on this career ladder that we've now reached the top, but it's becoming a downward coming escalator. And every day we're having to climb the ladder to stay in the same place. And it gets exhausting. And what happens is by the end of your career, you either, you fade out or you sell out or you collapse or you then go and do pottery or you give up. Whereas at the end of your career, that's actually the start of what all your skills can be applied to, all your passions can be applied to do what is going to be your legacy. That's when, right, I'm going to apply it to something more purposeful for me. And I asked these 6 friends, I said, look, I want to take people through this process. I want to see how it lifts you. And they all came to the house. The first retreat, because it was mates, like I said, it's a 4-day process. It's called Sort Your Shit Out. I'm going to help you sort your shit out. And an hour in, I could see the weight dropping off everyone's backs. People were de-aging in front of me because they suddenly realized, 1, they weren't alone, and 2, that everybody else had their own challenges and they could be conquered, and that that the people couldn't solve through their own vision and their own experience, and that if they could share and propel the thoughts of other people's solutions into their worlds, on the back of a very rigorous production process that we go through for the barn, then the wings could come on their backs. It was like taking this backpack of expectancy off and just feeling lighter. And I felt it as well. I was still on the end of a buyout when I did my first barn trying to crush it in the business thing. And I decided, you know what? I need to do this work. It's time for me to help others versus just sell stuff to people. And I resigned from the business system I was in and started Elevation Barn in New York. Then I didn't want it just for white male entrepreneurs in Manhattan. I wanted to make sure it was internationally diverse and East meets West culturally and spiritually. And so I expanded it over to Bali, which is this melting pot of international expats and thought leaders and people that are also looking for transformation, and just followed destiny. Every time these opportunities came up in other countries and places, I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it in South Africa or Botswana or back in the north of England, which was the scariest place to do it in, because I was going home and you don't want to be embarrassed. So
2 questions. 7 years in, is that 4-day retreat still called Sort Your Shit Out?
No, we changed it from
Okay.
the Sort Your Shit Out was the incubator. It became Elevation Barn.
Okay.
And Elevation Barn has basically expanded from being people that do the retreat now into a higher purpose community, because everybody has taken 4 days to become part of the barn or the community that we have. It's like turning up at a wedding where everybody has done the work and knows the bride and groom and cares. There is something that is bigger than themselves, and therefore they put their egos aside. And that's
And
what happens with the barn community.
so, well, that leads to my second question or observation potentially.
Mm.
Not only do the small group of people that come in for that 4 days, the initial 4 days, learn from the process and the principles that you bring to the table, but via sharing that, they're also learning from each other.
Absolutely.
And then how good's this? Give, you receive. You just said that you learned as well.
Oh, I learn every time I do a retreat. The chance, how much time do you spend on your own with others, with them helping you reflect on where your future can go? Probably very little. It's very hard. And most people they don't know who to talk to. They can talk to their partner. The partner will support them and love them, but that's often not the advice you need. You got your mates, but that usually ends up with a couple of drinks and a little bit of a serious chat and then distraction. Or you've got your colleagues, and with colleagues, you can't take the gloves off. You don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to say something and discover that they've been leveraged against you. So there's very few places, and most membership clubs are based on the power of your data. What do you bring? Your connections. How can others benefit from it? Or your wallet. How are you funding a community gathering thing where you just turn up and socialize? We're all craving more structural support to feel like we're good enough, and we're also able to help others with the wisdom we've gleaned over time.